Thank you, Madam Chair. And I wanted to start off with thanking you for allowing me to jointly author this important resolution with you. And I want to thank your staff for their work on this measure. Also would like to accept the technical amendments outlined in the analysis and wanted to add on the following as co-authors: Senators Steinberg, Correa, Liu, Leno, and DeSalle. This is a resolution, members. It's Senate Joint Resolution 31, and it simply urges the United States Congress and the President to pass H.R. 1205 and its companion measure in the U.S. Senate 493. Collectively, they're known as the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act. Acronym for is ABLE. The ABLE Act would create disability savings accounts, very similar to what some families have for saving for their children's future and their college educations. Those are known as the 529 college tuition plans. Families with children that are developmentally disabled also need a savings instrument, not for college, but for their care of their children who probably will exceed their life-own expectancy. This is an important resolution and really is one of the most exciting things that I've seen personally happening on the federal level to assist families in helping to provide essential services for their disabled children, whether it's medical care or education, work employment training, housing or transportation needs. It should, not only is it the right thing to do, but I think in the long term it'll save society money as well. These savings account would provide substantial and much needed flexibility with individuals with disabilities and their families and friends. I respectfully ask for your aye vote and would welcome everyone's participation in this and encouraging the federal government to move ahead.
Thank you.
Let me share with you, I have two co-sponsors of the measure, the Association of California Autism Organizations, as well as the Association of Regional Center Agencies.
Madam Chair and members and distinguished staff, Rick Rollins here on behalf of the Alliance of California Autism Organizations here in California. First of all, we want to thank the Select Committee on Autism and Related Disorders and the good work that's been done, particularly in the Bay Area Task Force. Senator Alquist, your task force that came up with this idea. I, like Senator Pavley, am a parent of a child with autism, and I think speaking for the autism community and every disability community, this federal legislation will go a long way to give families options to take care of some of the deep concerns that we have about the future of our kids. I'd also like to add that this will have no state cost impact. This is a federal IRS regulation that's being put forward. California would have to conform to that. This resolution doesn't ask us to conform to that. It just asks the Congress to adopt this piece of federal legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Lisa Jackson, and I'm the Senior Housing Specialist for the Association of Regional Center Agencies, and we are proud to be a co-sponsor on this resolution. There are almost 240,000 people being served by the regional center system, and the financial cost to most families is daunting. Parents with non-disabled children can set up a 529 college account to pay for expenses related to their education, attending a college or university. However, people with a developmental disability may never be able to attend a college or university. In fact, a disabled child may need support services for the rest of their life. The ABLE accounts give parents the same tools to save and provide for their child with a disability. Instead of paying for tuition, this account would pay for disability-related expenses such as housing, employment support, and health prevention. The ABLE accounts give parents some control and the ability to supplement state services and benefits, but not replace them. In this time of budget crisis and uncertainty, it only makes sense to give parents a way to enable their children to live in the community. This is why H.R. 1205 is so vital and important. In an uncertain time, it gives parents some certainty. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any opposition? Senator Strickland?
Thank you. I'm happy to move this measure. I think it's very important, and I'm hoping that they do this on the federal side. So I'm happy to move this bill And if there's an amendment, I'm happy to co-author this bill. But one of the things I wanted to point out was that bills have moved forward in the legislature on state tax conformity on health savings accounts. And I'm hopeful, and I'm glad that we're doing this, and I hope the federal government does this, but I hope we can do this for individuals because, again, we talk about the rising cost of health care. And I think a big component to help families, hardworking California families, is to do this for all individuals and families across the state. And I'm thankful that you bring this measure forward, but I'm hoping that the legislature realizes that. And so if we have an opportunity on state tax conformity with health savings accounts, that gets through the legislature as well.
Senator Onesta and then Senator Cox.
For the gentleman, would not a health savings account be beneficial to these families?
They would. I think one of the impediments that we have right now is that this particular piece of legislation that was drafted by the disability community back in Washington is really item specific for the kinds of supports and programs that are necessary.
But a health savings account would be beneficial.
It would, yes, sir.
No, it wouldn't be.
Okay,
Well,
if Senator...
I'm not finished, ma'am.
Okay.
I have 3 times brought before this committee over the years a bill to make California conform to the federal tax code, which permits health savings accounts for instances just such as this. 3 times the opposition, members who were just sitting in those chairs 10 minutes ago, said that health savings accounts, quote, were only for the healthy and the wealthy, that they were at a significant disadvantage to those who were in need. Your testimony is exactly the opposite. What this bill is attempting to do is be more inclusive than a health savings account for a certain segment of our population, which I support. But I just want to point out to the voting members of this committee who have voted against health savings accounts that the very arguments that you are making to pass this bill and why they are going to vote yes today, they voted no on a health savings account bill that is exactly the same thing limited to the health care of the people of America. Again, an inconsistency that I cannot find any logical explanation for except pure politics and acquiescence to the special powers and the third interests that control this House, which is a shame. But I support this concept. I support health savings accounts, and I would hope that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle would open their minds to the inconsistencies of what you're doing today.
Thank you, Senator Onestad. Senator Cox.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me, because details matter, let me just, if I may, ask you some questions which I think are pertinent to this particular bill, which I, by the way, could not find in the, it may very well be that I was looking at the wrong page. But I wanted to inquire about the tax deductibility of the contributions going in. Where are you on that, Senator Pavley? A family decides that they're going to set up this particular account, and they decide that they're going to do $5,000 a year or 10. Is that a tax deductible $5,000? In other words, do they get a income tax, California income tax deduction for the $5,000?
I'll let the either Mr. Rollins or the representative from the regional centers.
Senator Cox, it's my understanding that this legislation deals just with the federal side of the tax situation,
right,
and not
so you're
California.
just making a recommendation to
interest is accrued tax-free.
Okay,
That's
but
correct.
details matter. That's the reason I'm asking you the question.
Yes, sir.
With respect to the accumulation of the funds that are in this account, they accumulate tax-free?
That's my understanding.
Okay. And with respect to distribution, are the funds distributed on a tax-free basis?
It's my understanding that those would be tax exempt.
So there's a tax deduction, and then you've got a situation of where you've got a tax-free accumulation, and then you've got a tax-free distribution, correct?
That's my understanding.
And then in addition to that, are there distribution dates that the funds must be distributed by?
I honestly don't know the answer to that question, sir.
and let me just-
I have the House resolution that I'll read through and get those exact, if there's
Maybe you
dates
can just
in it.
answer that question.
Yeah.
And may I add one point there? When funds are drawn from this account, they can only be used for 4 things: education, housing, transportation, employment support. Oh, I'm sorry, medical care and life necessities. And it gives broader definitions, Senator Cox, if you would like me to say some of that.
And do you know whether there's a distribution deadline? It clearly makes a difference.
Sure, I understand.
Can you skip a generation? In other words, if they're not used by the intended beneficiary, would there be a skip in the distribution?
It's a good question. I don't have the answer, sir. I can find out for you, though.
And then with respect to the individual making, then the person for whom the benefits are designed for, is there a guardian or a custodial arrangement made? And what is that?
Yes, the trustee. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, a trustee for the person, family member, or
Okay.
or designated trustee. And this is also an individual that is eligible for Social Security and has gone through all those litmus tests, so it's very narrowly focused on developmentally disabled. Very similar program to the 529 college tuition program that we're all familiar with. Same
What's the-
concept, just for those kids who could never go to college.
What's the maximum distribution date?
I will look that up and get back to you on that. I've
Thank
got
you.
the whole resolution in front,
And
or bill in the House in front of me, but I didn't write that
And I'd like
down.
to answer Senator Cox's last question on the distribution after death. It says, in a manner similar to the treatment of Medicaid trusts, funds remaining in the ABLE account at an individual's death would be used to pay back the state Medicaid program up to the value of services provided to the individual during life.
And there's also a limit on the amount of contributions not to exceed $2,000 in a calendar year.
$2,000 in a calendar year?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions from committee members? Let's see, did we have opposition? There wasn't any, as I understand. There wasn't any. It's been moved by Senator Strickland. Senator Pavley, would you like to close briefly?
Yes, I appreciate all the questions. I will go back and thoroughly read the House bill. This is a resolution in support of the concept, which I think is critically important for families who like to invest in their children. And if you don't have an opportunity to invest for a college education for the future, let's take care of our children who happen to be developmentally disabled. So it's the right policy, and Senator Cox be glad to spend a little more time in homework getting the answers to those questions for you as it moves forward into the Appropriations Committee.
This has been moved by our Vice Chair, Senator Strickland. Call for the vote, please.
Senator Alquist?
Aye.
Alquist, aye. Strickland?
Aye.
Strickland, aye. Honested? Aye. Honested, aye. Cedillo?
Aye.
Cedillo, aye. Cox? Aye. Cox, aye. Leno? Aye. Leno, aye. Negretti McLeod? Negretti McLeod, aye. Pavley?
Aye.
Pavley, aye. Romero? It's got 8.
That has 8 votes, enough to get out. We will hold it open, though, till the end. Thank you very much. Next would be file item